Welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you've ever dealt with enterprise purchasing in SAP, you know it can be a terrifying, chaotic place. Rogue purchases creeping in, budgets slashed in the dark. Today, we're building a survival toolkit. We're going to set up a flawless release strategy defense grid to protect your corporate systems from the nightmare of uncontrolled spending. So let's gear up. Are manual approvals literally draining your will to live? I mean, think about it. Relying on someone to manually check and sign off on every single purchase requisition, it's not just terrifying, it's a massive bottleneck. Documents get lost in the void, budgets blow up, and chaos just kind of takes over. We desperately need an automated trap to catch these rogue requests before they infect your entire system. Here's our blueprint for making it out alive. We'll start by escaping that manual nightmare. Then we'll build our defense system, assign our gatekeepers, survive the item-level releases, and finally face off against the final boss, header-level release. Let's get right into it.
All right, phase 1, escaping the manual nightmare.
To survive out here, you really have to know your weapons. SAP basically gives us two paths. The without classification method is, well, it's rigid. It only works for PRs and only at the item level. It's a pretty flimsy shield, if you ask me. But the with classification procedure? Now that is our heavy artillery. It's totally flexible. It covers PRs, purchase orders, contracts, the whole shebang. Plus, it lets you trigger releases at both the header and item levels, using all kinds of different characteristics. This is exactly what we need to actively quarantine bad requisitions. Now that we've chosen our weapon, let's move to phase 2 and actually build this defense system. You're going to want to memorize these 5 survival rules, because these steps are the exact path out of the dark woods. 1. Define your characteristics. 2. Define your class. 3. Define the release procedure. 4. Test it by creating a PR. And 5. Release that PR. Keep these in your back pocket. Okay, before we forge our first trap, we absolutely have to talk about CBAN. Think of CBAN as the secret incantation buried deep in SAP. It's the communication structure that holds all the fields you need to unlock your automated release process. If you want a specific condition to trigger an approval, CBAN is literally where you find the key to make it happen. So by pulling specific fields right out of the CBAN structure, we're defining the exact criteria that will trip our trap. For our defense grid, we're pulling WERKS for the plant, EKGRP for the purchasing group, and GSWRT for the total value of the item. These are our tripwires. If a PR touches any of these, bam, the trap snaps shut. Using transaction code CT04, we're actually forging that first tripwire. When you set this up, you are explicitly linking your new custom characteristic straight to the WERKS field in the CEBAN table. Basically, this tells the system exactly what shadow to watch for when a user tries to sneak a requisition through. Moving right along, let's see how this all connects. Using transaction CL02, we take all those individual tripwires we just built, the plant, purchasing group, total value, and we group them all together into a single master class. We called this one testpr_class. What we've just done is create a unified, interconnected defense perimeter. Nothing is getting through the cracks. But a perimeter is useless without guards. That brings us to phase 3, assigning the gatekeepers. So who's actually guarding your gates? In SAP, your guards are represented by release codes. Think of them as a 2-digit alphanumeric shield standing between a rogue requisition and your company's bank account. Here, group R1 is assigned to C1 for the purchase officer, C2 for the purchase manager, and C3 for the head of department. Now, check out this strict hierarchy of survival. I mean, you definitely don't want the head of department getting jump scared by every tiny request, right? Looking at how these prerequisites are staged, it clearly shows that C1 and C2 must successively approve the document before C3 even gets a notification. It is a perfectly staged, layered line of defense. And here is the exact logic of our trap in action. If a purchase sneaks in at, say, greater than or equal to 2,000 euros, it triggers strategy S1. That wakes up our first set of gatekeepers, C1, C2, and C3. But what if a massive 5,000 euro order tries to breach the perimeter? The system automatically escalates. Strategy S2 kicks in, and the heavy hitters, C4, C5, and C6 are summoned to block it dead in its tracks. The traps are set, the guards are armed. Let's jump into phase 4 and see if we can survive an item-level release. We just simulated creating a purchase requisition in the wild. And boom, both items tripped the wires immediately. The first item triggered strategy S1, and that second, much more expensive item, it triggered strategy S2. Both are instantly caught, quarantined, and slapped with a big red B for blocked. Our grid is alive and working. Have you ever accidentally approved a huge order in a sheer panic just because you didn't have a clear workflow? It's the worst. At first, the document is blocked, just waiting patiently in the dark for C5 and C6 to act. It's a tense moment. But once you get those green check marks, oh man, that is the triumphant relief of a properly executed sequence. The gatekeepers did their job, the monsters are slain, and the items survived the night to become fully released. We've mastered the item-level skirmishes, but now it's time for Phase 5, the final boss, header release. In this nightmare, there is always a bigger monster, right? Now we have to configure the system to block and release the document at the entire header level. First up, we use the standard document type NB and make absolutely sure that overall release box is checked. But here's the crucial part. We have to swap out our tripwire. We're not looking at individual item values anymore. Instead, we map our characteristic to the CEBAN field GFWRT. That represents the overall value of the entire purchase requisition. And there it is. We created a new PR, and the combined overall value hit 3,000 euros. Since that's above our 2,000 euro threshold, strategy S1 triggers instantly. But this time, it doesn't just block a single item, it locks down the entire document at the header level. No one is going anywhere, nothing moves forward until the gatekeepers say so. Once our trusted gatekeepers, C1, C2, and C3, step in through transaction ME54N and provide their approvals, the status shifts to a glorious, beautiful release. The header level release is totally complete, which means we did it. We have successfully survived the corporate purchasing nightmare. Your system is finally secure. You've built a flawless automated defense grid for your purchase requisitions. You've escaped the manual approvals, and you completely defeated the final boss. But I want to leave you with one final terrifying thought. What other documents in your system are waiting in the dark? Are your purchase orders and contracts lurking out there, completely unprotected without a release strategy? Well, now that you know exactly how to build the trap, it might be time to go hunting again. Thanks for surviving with me in this explainer.